we're going to look for an anchorage, and I hop in. And there's all sorts of like shark science that people don't know. Apparently, the hierarchy goes like this. The bad motherfuckers have the top all the way down. And the smaller the sharks are, they have to sit lower and lower in the ocean, and the little bitches sit towards the bottom. The pecking order. The alphas get the top and everything, and then the little guys have to sit below. And so if you jump in the middle of nowhere where these sharks don't know humans, the alphas think you are challenging them. And so I jump in, full spearfishing attire, and I clear my mask. And now that I can see, I see that like the edges of the atoll just drop off at like 60 degrees straight down into the black abyss. There's like no good anchorage. There's nothing but black water and super steep walls of this atoll. And so as soon as I clear my mask, I see like it drop off, no good anchorage. And I also see this monster silver-tipped Tahitian shark charging straight at me out of the black water. And I've got a spear gun, and that helps. But this guy had it out for me.
And welcome in to another episode of the Wake and Wander podcast. Thanks for being on board. Really excited about our show today. My guest is Zach Rice. He's one of my buddies out there in Hawaii, and I wanted to have him on today to discuss life on the Pacific Ocean. He's one of the only people I know that has taken to the high seas multiple times, doing many different journeys, crossing the Pacific Ocean in different segments. In some points from Hawaii going to Southeast Asia, other times going from the U.S. mainland to Hawaii, and everything in between. We recorded this episode in Honolulu during the massive rainstorms they recently had. Definitely recorded in some heavy rain, so apologies if any of that comes through on the recording. We did our best. Maybe it's fitting for a conversation about life at sea and hearing Zach's tales of what it's like to spend multiple months on the ocean and to go through some of these storms at sea. So I hope you enjoy, and safe travels to wherever you're headed. I was looking at something today. Have you ever heard of Point Nemo, or Nemo? Point Nemo? N-E-M-O?
Is that the furthest place from anything?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Nemo is Latin for no one. Scientists chose to call the location Nemo. Is it Nemo?
These are good questions.
Nemo. Scientists chose to call the location Nemo because it is Latin for no one, and I guess it's a reference to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The location is so isolated that the closest people to Nemo are not even on Earth. According to the BBC, astronauts aboard the International Space Station are around 258 miles from the Earth's surface at any given time, but the inhabited area closest to Point Nemo is more than 1,000 miles. That's wild. So if you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you're farther from land than you are if you're in the International Space Station.
Oh, where is it? It's somewhere west of
Look it up.
Rapa Nui?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where. So I'm going to pull up the map here too because I want to see where your exact journeys were. We can retrace them here on the map. God, man, the Pacific's so crazy. I was looking this up today. The Pacific Ocean covers 63 million square miles, larger than all the Earth's landmass combined. Like, it's impossible to get that perspective unless you've just been on it.
Or you're on the space station, I guess.
And looking down on it, yeah. It makes up roughly 1/3 of the entire surface of the planet, and at its widest point, which is roughly from Southeast Asia to the Americas, it stretches 12,000 miles. So that's what? Like, East Coast to West Coast is under 3,000 miles?
Yeah.
So it's more than 4 times bigger than North America across at its widest point.
Yeah.
How did you sail across the whole thing?
Piece by piece.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on because I want to hear about your journeys. You've teased me over the years.
I do this.
With snippets of your journeys. But you're the only guy that I know that has sailed at least parts of the Pacific several times. And I think that's incredibly wild. And I'm just curious to learn more about life at sea. So tell us about it. How did you even get into sailing? Like, you were born in Alaska, so you're not even from Hawaii, but you've lived here a long time. So did you get into sailing in Hawaii or in Alaska?
Yeah, this is definitely a Hawaii thing that I've started doing. The water's much nicer down here.
Yeah. Well, you grew up pretty inland Alaska, right?
Yeah, I was like an hour and a half from the water, so I was somewhat close to Valdez. So there was boat activities and deep sea fishing and all that. But
Valdez is a town?
Yeah, that's where the big oil spill was back in the day.
I don't remember that. When was that?
You're old enough to remember that.
Well, there's a lot in the news these days, man.
Yeah.
So when was it?
The 90s?
Okay.
Yeah.
And it just, oil field just overflowed?
Yeah, drunk captain, smashed rocks.
A drunk captain?
Yeah, sea life and birds decimated. Yeah, it was a thing.
That has all the makings of a big news.
Yeah, it was a to-do.
Well, how did you get into sailing specifically? Did you take lessons or you just go with friends and learn?
Yeah, just essentially started small, and we would do the races on Fridays, and started doing some inter-island hops here and there. And I'm generally a pretty quick study, and so it came pretty natural. Like once you kind of get the basics of it, it makes sense. You know, you're going with the wind for the most part.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I've sailed sunfishes and like 14-foot sailboats, stuff like that. And yeah, like you learn how to tack, you learn how to use the wind, but that's a lot different than crossing the Pacific Ocean, I think. So that's like a big leap. So when did you realize, like, okay, sailing out of the harbor on a Friday on a race is not going to be enough? Like, were you inspired by anything in particular, or?
Yeah, I guess some of the longer inter-island sails, sailing to Kauai and to Maui and Molokai and stuff like that. It's pretty cool once you adjust from your land legs and you become accustomed to the way the boat's moving and you're in tune with the sunrise and sunset and all that stuff. It's real nice not to be perpetually inundated with the distractions of regular life. You can kind of fall into a harmony with the nature side of things a little bit.
How long does it take you to get your sea legs, as they call them?
Generally 3 days. There's an adjustment period until you're comfortable, essentially, where it doesn't feel unnatural. The first few days feel unnatural, like you're forcing equilibrium and things like that.
Yeah, you're not moving as one with the boat, maybe.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like coming up, hitting your foot, tossing you around.
Yeah,
later.
exactly.
Had you ever gotten seasick?
I didn't get seasick for many, many years, even after lots of ocean crossings. I did experience it, and I realized, like, oh, wow, this is what people are talking about. This is miserable.
What changed? Like, why did that happen? Was it just you had never come like a big storm, or?
No, I mean, I'd been in plenty of big storms and stuff. The first time I got really seasick was on a catamaran, and so they just move a little different than monohulls. And, yeah, something about the way it moved, and it was within my first 3-day window. This was on a Tahiti trip. And so those first 3 days are rough. If you're going to get sick, it's going to be on those days typically before you adjust to the boat. And, yeah, I was on the night watch, and I always thought I was immune to the seasickness. I'd done tens of thousands of miles, you know, and never had it. And I was like, I'm good to go. I was not immune. And I was on the night watch solo, and I had a big beard at the time. Yeah, I was so seasick, but I was too ashamed to like wake people up and let them know that I was so seasick. And so I was just out there puking, trying to take care of myself, but there was puke in the beard, and I'd smell the puke in the beard, and it would set me off again. Yeah, it was rough. It's a deal with it type of moment.
That's so funny. All right, well, okay, let's go back. So you started sailing in the Hawaiian Islands. You say, shorter sails to Kauai and Molokai. Like, how far is that from Oahu for people that don't know the islands very well? What does that entail? Is that a couple days? Is that? Yeah,
Molokai you can generally make in a day. I think it's like 38 miles to the west coast of Molokai from about where we are in Honolulu. Kauai is a multi-day thing. It's closer to 300 miles, depending where you're going.
It's 300 from here to Kauai?
Yeah, depending where you're going.
God, it doesn't seem that far. That's crazy.
there's definitely like day hops and stuff that you can do, and pretty easy. Once the multi-day stuff starts, once you're out of sight of land for a couple days, it is a pretty cool experience. No longer coastal cruising, you're like voyaging, that romanticized freedom.
I think that either makes you really excited or scares the shit out of you being
Yeah.
that far from land,
Yeah.
for sure. So how are you doing this? Like, you don't have a boat.
No, I generally hop on with friends, or a lot of the longer adventures that I've gone on, we're delivering sailboats to people who want a certain sailboat at a certain place in the world where they can't get it.
And they hire people to move it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that like a website you sign up for, or you get into some kind of call list?
There are websites for that. I have enough friends, and it's a somewhat small industry in Hawaii, that if you're a reputable captain, people know that you're going to deliver the boat in one piece.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's an important part of it.
Yeah.
So you're sailing around the islands, and then what was the first time the opportunity to sail across the Pacific came?
Somewhere in my late 20s, mid-20s.
Do you remember, though, building up to that? Was that a goal? Was that something
no, I was looking for something completely different on, I think, Craigslist. I think I was coming up to a birthday, like a 26th birthday or
just
something.
Craigslist shopping for
I think I was
life adventures?
I can't remember what I was looking for, but it certainly wasn't like a sailboat delivery. And I noticed a little button and it said crew, and I was like, what the hell is crew? And so I clicked on said tab, and I was like, sailboat trip to Asia? Cool. Sign me up. So I emailed the guy. And I was like, yo, I'm a regular human. I'm easy to get along with. Hit me up. And I got no response. And so I hit him up again. I'm like, yo, I've done some sailing. I'm entertained by the idea of this. This is where I'm at. I'll meet you wherever. And finally I got a response. And I met this guy named Greg. And Greg and I have done tens of thousands of miles together now. We're good friends.
That's so crazy. And you guys first met on Craigslist.
Yeah.
I guess Craigslist back in the day was a resource for this kind of stuff. Like, people look for apartments and much more than less options than there are today to find that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And where did he want to go?
So the boat was here in Honolulu. It was a monohull. It was a race boat. So like bare bones, really uncomfortable, like made for speed, not for comfort. And the end destination was Taiwan.
From here to Taiwan. So how far is that?
It's pretty far.
I'm going to pull up well, obviously it's pretty far. We just talked about how big the ocean is. All right, so we're here, and that's Taiwan there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, holy shit, man. Did you have to take a test? Like, did Greg say, hey, let's...
Typically, before you do a delivery, you get accustomed to the boat and kind of gain some basic familiarity, and you do some shakeout sails where you run through all the systems, you check all the various sets of sails, and, kind of learn the boat.
If it's not your boat, how do you know they can make it? That would be pretty scary, I would think.
Well, I mean, typically when people buy a boat, they have an inspection. And so on the inspection, it'll tell you if there's any weak points, things that need to get fixed, changed, replaced, stuff like that.
Basically, if you're going to move the boat, you require an inspection to be done before you do it.
I mean...
It's not like buying a used car and it's like, we'll see.
Yeah, it's a little more serious than a used car.
I think so.
Used cars don't sink.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so you get accustomed with the boat. This one had some peculiarities. It was owned by like a hardcore racer beforehand. And so the racers only care about speed. And so there's holes in the hull of the boat to bring salt water in, to flush gray and black water out. And so those through holes in the boat, they create drag. And so a real hardcore racer, fiberglass is over those through holes for like maximum hole speed. And so that was one of the things that we didn't know before we took the boat like towards Guam. And so we checked all the systems on the shakeout sails, and we're like, cool, toilet works, sinks work. There was tanks for both, and so we were just pumping salt water from a tank, and then we were pumping our black water from the toilet to a tank, even though the knob was turned to dump to sea.
Oh.
That comes in later in the story.
Yeah. Okay. So how long is the shakeout sail? Is it literally just one sail, or you're doing that over the course of several weeks?
Yeah, we did multiple sails over several weeks. We also installed a wind vane. It's kind of like an analog autopilot. It'll adjust the direction of the boat to sail with the wind, essentially.
So you can auto sail.
Yeah, but if the wind changes, the boat direction changes too. So an autopilot chooses like a real magnetic heading. The wind vane will just point you in a direction referenced to the wind.
Okay.
So, but it was a good backup in case any like electronic autopilots failed, essentially. So you don't have to steer the whole time.
So a couple weeks, you get it shaked out. You feel like, okay, we're good. How long before Greg told you, like, yeah, you can come, let's do it?
Yeah, it was probably over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. And we brought another guy in from the East Coast. He was from New York. He was a friend of a friend, and he had done some sailing and stuff. And so I was already like in. And then this guy came out from the East Coast, and we interviewed him, and he seems normal enough. And we're like, all right, you can come too.
Now, you said that word twice. You said when you responded, you're like, hey, I'm a normal guy, regular guy. You said this guy from the East Coast is a normal guy. It's pretty important that you all get along, I guess, on a trip like this.
I mean, close quarters for extended periods of time with external stressors. Social dynamics definitely come into play.
So how big was this boat?
This was a 40-foot race boat.
And everybody has their place to stay on it?
This particular boat was essentially one empty shell. And so there was little beds along the side and like a super bare bones 2-burner stove in the galley. But nowhere to escape from the other people on the boat. This was a Trip 40 is what it was.
Okay. I don't know my boats, sorry.
Yeah, people can look it up. And they can look up the wind vane. It's a real feat of engineering. It's pretty brilliant.
Okay. How long is it from here to Taiwan?
It's far. So we didn't go straight to Taiwan. We went to Guam first.
Okay. And do you remember leaving? Like, I guess your life was like you were prepared for this. How long did you plan to be gone for?
At least a month.
And your life at that time, you said you were in your 20s, so you were pretty flexible to...
I've maintained flexibility well into my older age.
Me too, right? That's the way to do it. Do you remember the day that you left?
Yeah.
Like, how did that feel waking up that morning? Did you have a girlfriend or anything at the time? You're like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah.
How does she feel about it?
She wasn't as happy about it as I was. She said... It feels like an extended breakup.
Well, depends on how you look at it.
She wasn't wrong.
Well, I mean, she knows where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Like, can't get in too much trouble when you're on the boat.
She also knew what I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get into that later. Yeah, how did you feel that day waking up and saying, oh, man, I'm literally going out into the abyss?
Yeah.
Did you have any fear of that?
I remember being more nervous the night before than actually the day of, because there was these things I wanted to do. I wanted to eat some ice cream. I wanted to go for a walk. I wanted a nice meal from a restaurant, because these are all things you can't do on the boat, You
cannot take a walk on a boat. I didn't really think of that. It's like your last walk for a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And so did all that. The next day, we were so busy preparing stuff, loading supplies on the boat, getting everything ready, that it was just task after task and no time to be nervous, really.
Game time, action,
yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
A little bit of stress of like getting it all loaded, but you're not sitting there dwelling on your mortality.
No.
Did
no.
you sleep well the night before?
Yeah, I got good and drunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
As any sailor would.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you guys bring for this journey? What are you guys going to plan to eat?
A whole variety of stuff. So for like the big crossings, the food starts real good. And then as the fresh stuff runs out, you're essentially relegated to canned stuff, dry stuff, pastas, rices, sauces, and, combining them in fat in a way that interests you enough to eat it. But, potatoes and onions and carrots and stuff last a good while, but the first week or two you're eating pretty good, and then, the second and third week it's starting to get drastically different, and by like the fourth week you're looking at cans with rice and pasta and, whatever tough things remain. But also, this is hugely dependent on the type of boat that you're on. Some have deep freezers and expansive refrigerators, and you can have ice cream and popsicles and like the works for the entire time. This boat was not that. This had no refrigerator. It just had like an ice box, essentially.
So you really started on like the barest of bones.
It was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. Yeah, the settees that you sleep on, the little mattresses, were like 2 inches thick, 22 to 24 inches wide, and you have like a little net that holds you in so you don't fall out of bed when the boat heels over.
I want to get into life on the boat in a second, but do you remember sailing away from Hawaii? Do you remember the second day?
Yeah, we had really good winds, and we were only flying like half our sails, and we were still moving pretty good. But yeah, watching the island get smaller and the horizon as like night closes in is a pretty interesting sensation.
Tell us about it. Was that like a romantic moment?
It wasn't romantic at that point. It was a little scary. Yeah.
I think most people would be pretty terrified.
Yeah, I'd never done anything like it, and it was definitely unknown territory for me.
Were you navigating with a GPS, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we had redundant navigation systems.
I mean, isn't it crazy that people used to cross the ocean like that without one?
It is crazy. Yeah, it's bold.
I'm sure you thought a lot about that.
Yeah, it's super bold.
I just can't imagine like that, pushing away like that and just knowing you're going to be so far gone. But clearly you have no fear of the open ocean.
Well, I just kind of love adventure in general, and that was it was a pretty big unknown in my book, and I embrace that kind of thing generally.
What is the rotation on board? So there were 3 of you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the shift, the rotation that you guys go on?
So typically 4 on, 4 off if it's smooth sailing. If it's nasty and stormy and sucking a bunch of energy just to maintain course and live getting sprayed by water, then we'll switch to like a 2 on, 2 off, or a 2 on, 4 off.
What do you do when you're not on? How do you pass the time?
Well, I like reading books, music, things like that. It's really a great time to do some like deep thinking.
I would guess.
Yeah,
there's nothing else to do. Literally.
There's limited distractions.
Yeah, walk us through a typical day when you're on sea like that.
Yeah, so your shift is largely audiobooks, podcasts, whatever you've saved to your fancy little device. And you'll do that, and it gets cold, and you get antsy, and people are down below making snacks, and they'll bring snacks up to you, and, maybe some tea or coffee. And then when you're off shift, you sleep some, you make some snacks and drinks to share with your friends. You read some book. You do little busybody stuff around the boat, things that need to get cleaned, fixed, maintained. It's always something that needs attention on a boat. And yeah, it's just kind of a cycle of that for the most part. There's also a lot of stargazing, come nighttime, and sunrises and sunsets are a good part of the day. And that takes a chunk, whether you're on shift handling the boat or, just coming up on deck to hang out for certain periods of the day. But yeah, I mean, essentially we did 3,800 miles to Guam.
That's active sailing.
A lot of it was, yeah. We used the wind vane some. It got struck by a bird at some point and needed some love before it got fixed again.
It got struck by a bird.
Yeah, it's got like a big arm on the top that adjusts with wind angle, and if a bird runs into it, it breaks it.
Why would a bird run into it?
Birds land on those things and take a break. We had all sorts of birds come and hang out with us. We named one Eduardo. He was our boy for a couple days. Another night there was a big sort of monster albatross or something up in like the wires holding up the mast, and it took an enormous shit on my friend Greg, and it just covered him. And Greg lost his mind because you don't think of bird poop as being like temperature hot. Apparently it's hot, and it just covered him in hot bird poop that smelled like fish. He came unglued. It was hilarious. It's hot and it smells like fish.
Hey, at least it's some entertainment.
Yeah, so lots of birds out there, and they use it as like a little floating island to take a break a lot of times.
Did you guys all get along as it went along?
I get along as a general statement. I can get along with about anybody.
Yeah.
The guy from the East Coast, New York, I'd say as a general statement, East Coasters are a little more high-strung than West Coasters. And people who live in Hawaii are even more relaxed than West Coasters. And so there was definitely a butting of heads with East Coast versus West Coast. Greg and the East Coast guy definitely didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Was the East Coast guy just trying to be more direct and more nervous about things?
He was very nervous about things, but also he didn't maintain his sea composure as well as he could have. He wanted to get there, and he wanted to get there now, and that's not the way sailing works. And so he would be adjusting course and stuff against the captain's orders. The captain has set a course. You maintain course. The captain said so. You do not deviate from the plan because you feel like it. So that was a point of contention. So there was some words had, and I'm always the mediator in those situations, regardless of what friend group or whatever, because I'm good at it. But it became more and more strained as the trip went on.
So when you say a course has been set, is the course very general, or is it like literally don't move from this path?
Yeah, so if we were sailing at 240 degrees on the compass, you don't start sailing 180 degrees or 300 degrees.
But he would be changing to tack or to...
And you would look at the GPS in the morning and you'd see a drastic change in direction. And the captain did not like that.
And what would he say, the East Coaster?
That he thinks it's a better course. This is going to get us there faster. But he wasn't accounting for currents or anything else. And so he was wrong, 100% wrong.
So it was 3,800 miles to Guam. Do you remember approximately how long that took you?
It took about 4 weeks.
Had you gone that long without exercising or walking before?
No, I mean, you get a fair amount of exercise. Changing the sails and steering on the tiller and maintaining balance while the ship heaves to and fro. It burns some calories. Yeah. It's not your typical forms of exercise, but you're getting a pretty good workout out there. Your hands are strong.
But you're not getting cardio, for example, are you?
Not like land cardio, no.
Is there boat cardio?
I mean, yeah, some people have like really regimented exercise routines on the boat, and they're diligently doing their yoga and pull-ups and all sorts of stuff.
Oh. Did you do anything like that?
I mean, a little bit. I have a more relaxed form of exercise. If it's fun, I do it, and if it's not, I don't.
Would you guys jump off the boat at any time?
Yeah, we did some deep water swims.
That's like the fear, right?
The fear. The deep blue fear.
Doesn't, like, fish congregate? I read that. Like, if you're sailing long distance, fish will actually follow you?
Yeah, any shade in the ocean, fish will hang out under. And so they'll follow you for thousands of miles. And then the bigger fish follow the smaller fish. And then the really big fish follow the medium-sized fish. There's all sorts of fish following you.
Okay, well, that would make it pretty scary to jump in, I would say.
It does.
So why do you do it?
Fresh.
I mean, it must feel good, obviously, just to jump in.
Yeah.
Were you spearfishing, too?
No, we weren't spearfishing on that trip. We caught lots of fish.
Just
pole fishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it easy?
Yeah, we pretty much had fresh fish the whole time.
Well, it sounds like you ate pretty well then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, man can only eat so much fish and rice every day. We were definitely adding stuff in here and there. And when I say fresh fish, like, fresh fish is like house guest. It's good for like 2 or 3 days.
Oh, interesting. Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, sometimes at sea, I don't want to smell like a fish. Everything smells like fish. When the boat all smells like fish, the last thing you want to eat is fish.
Yeah.
Because it was such a bare bones race boat, there was no shower. There was none of that. So we would take bucket baths. We would drag a bucket on a rope behind the boat to fill it with seawater. We would suds up with some hippie soap and douse ourselves in salt water and be as fresh as we could be. But it's not perfect, And so these are typically things you do on your shift, You'll use the bathroom, you'll shower, like all this stuff so people don't have to deal with you.
Wait, you do that on your shift while you're...
Okay, so going back to the through holes on the boat being fiberglassed over. So during our shakeout sail, the toilet, the head seemed to work just fine. But once we were 3 days out, we realized that we're not, in fact, flushing our black water to sea. It's overfilled the holding tank and has started seeping into the hull of the boat. And so every time we were heeled over on the left side of the boat, there'd be a wretched smell coming from down inside the boat, and we're like, something's wrong. So we dive in to look and see if the through hole is obstructed, and it is beyond obstructed. It has been fiberglassed over.
And the guy never told... That didn't come up in the inspection?
Didn't come up.
Oh, my God.
And so we realized that our toilet situation is going to have to change. And we realized it was a bucket poop type of adventure. And so, 3 days in, we switch over to the bucket system. And we had the trusty orange Home Depot bucket. Really great height and width for an adult-sized man. Really ergonomic, The pro tip for bucket technique is you have to put some water in the bucket first. It eliminates
splatter.
Skid marks, sticking, things like that. It really helps a lot
with cleaning it out.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the pro tip.
I'll bite into this. Is everyone else down below and you're up top?
Yeah,
and you have a little privacy.
Yeah, for the most part, and you just do your bucket business. The only hard part is you have to adjust the sails and still be on the tiller of the boat while taking care of said business.
So why don't you do it when you're off shift?
Because you have to do it on the deck.
So that's the only time you can be alone, when the 2 other people are down.
Right.
Ooh, how was that?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it for the most part, especially at night. There were some really beautiful nights. Stars just bright as can be, shooting stars, like the bioluminescent algae, like trailing the boat, and you're just out there grooving, taking care of business. One night there was all these pilot whales that came up and were like breaching by the boat, and like the algae is glowing where they're breaching, and I'm under the stars, and I was just laughing.
The stars must be incredible.
Incredibly bright, yeah.
The brightest you've seen?
As bright as they get, yeah, definitely. Yeah, completely unadulterated.
Is that perception changing?
Yeah, I think the vastness and brightness is part of it, but I think also having no other distractions and nothing else to look at even amplifies it more.
Was the night the most impressionable moment for you?
Yeah, the nights are beautiful. Also, your dream state on boats, the movement and the sound, it's completely different from your typical sleeping situation. So your dreams are just wild out there, or they are for me at least.
So I could see how everything is really pleasant when the weather's nice. You have this nice, beautiful sky. You're chilling. Everyone's at peace. You finally got all the shit cleaned out of the boat. Like, that seems nice. Have you seen the movie The Perfect Storm?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, what like, what is it like coming up on a storm at sea? And do you have warning of it, first off? Like, are you
You
able,
do.
So you have a weather forecaster with you?
No, we typically have a meteorologist on land who's reporting weather to us.
How does that work? That's an appointed person?
Yeah. So our friend Gil is a meteorologist, and he helps us out. And on this boat, we didn't have satellite. We had a sat phone, and we had InReach, which is like satellite text message essentially. And so he would just give us updates and kind of let us know what's going on. Like if a hurricane is approaching from a certain direction, we would know. And we would know if we needed to adjust course, essentially.
A hurricane?
Yeah. That's a storm at sea.
Wait, yeah, I know what a hurricane is, but it's like hurricanes are pretty bad. Have you ever seen the news when one hits land? You know?
Yeah.
But you're sailing through it?
No, we avoided...
Pull your other way. You pulled the mic down. Pull it back up so we can hear you.
Thank you.
Now you can hear you.
All right. So, yeah, on this trip in particular, we didn't get too stormy. We did get really big seas and really high winds. 50 plus knot winds and 20 plus foot seas.
20 foot.
Yeah.
That's not big?
It's big.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, that's big.
I would say that's pretty big and terrifying.
Well, especially on a 40-foot boat. And so, when the seas get that big, you can surf the waves if your direction and wind angle and everything is right. But you can also spin the boat trying to surf the waves. And so we did that a few times.
Like a 360?
At least a 180.
Dude, that's fucking terrifying. You're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and then you're pointing the wrong direction with blasting wind, and like you're up on deck alone, like, oh, I blew it.
Wait, are you tied in? What if you fall off?
Yeah, you're tethered in.
Have you ever been saved by the tether?
I was saved by the tether once on this trip.
What happened?
So when the sea gets big like that, you'll essentially drop into these big troughs. And so you've got like a 20-foot wall of water on your left and a 20-foot wall of water on your right, and the boat drops into the trough. And you had 50 knot winds, 40 to 50 knot winds, and it's just blasting, and it's super loud when the wind is that strong. And so you drop into the trough, and then it's dead silent because the wind is going like over the troughs. It's not following the contour of the water. And so you drop into the trough, and it gets like dead silent, and the boat stands up straight because there's no wind. And then the water rolls under you, then you're at the top of the peak again, and the wind is blasting 40, 50 knots, and the boat heels over 50 degrees, and it's just loud and crazy. And then you drop back into another trough, and it's dead silent, and the boat stands back up.
So you're going parallel to the waves. You're going into the trough, and the wave is coming from the side underneath of you. You're not pointing into the wave, going up and over it.
Yeah, this part of the trip, we were essentially parallel with the waves.
And the boat doesn't roll over?
No, the keel on the boat, it's a multi-ton chunk of metal. Right. So that's a good thing with monohulls, is you can't really capsize them, and if you do, they typically right themselves.
Right, you can't capsize it, like roll all the way over, but you can certainly dip into the water, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
And that.
Oh yeah, you sure can.
Had you ever been in a storm like that before this trip?
No.
You weren't wary of that, or stunned by that, or?
I mean, yeah, it gets a little hairy out there.
I would say that would be an understatement. I would think.
And so yeah, and then if the swell angle changes direction and you're pointing straight into these waves, generally like open ocean swells are unbreaking. Sometimes they break. And so if the wave breaks right in front of you and it's 20-foot ocean, it'll wipe the whole deck clean. Like it'll break over the top of the boat.
God.
And that's where the tether comes in.
So you just get swept off the deck.
Yeah, you're just blasted to the end of your tether.
That happened to you.
That happened.
That's like a near-death experience, man.
I mean, it's a pants pooper.
It's. Are you wearing a harness, like a climbing harness? That's.
Yeah, you're wearing like a life jacket that also acts as a harness, and so it's got D-rings that you can clip your lanyard into.
They weren't fiberglassed over. You could clip into them.
Yeah, these were good to go.
Dude, that is so wild, and really just the way you're just talking about it nonchalantly is just.
Yeah, it gets exciting out there. It's like a lot of times you're like, cool, champagne sailing. Hey, look at that sunset. And sometimes it's like, oh, shit, here we go.
I would think that, couldn't you get really hurt if you're getting washed off the deck? Like just hit your head on a railing? Are you wearing a helmet?
No helmet.
No.
So this boat in particular, it had like an open transom. There was no like back to it. And so it was just like the floor essentially just goes flat out the back to the sea. And so like when I got blasted, I just like got blasted to the end of my tether.
But a boat deck is very hard, right? So if you got blasted and then slammed on the deck, I would think you could break something.
Yeah, it could hurt. You want the tether to be short enough to where you don't, you're not able to go off the side and not able to go off the back. You kind of want the sweet spot of where you can still maneuver and get to the sails and the boom and all this stuff, but not so long that you can really get too far off the boat where you're like dragging in the water.
Are the sails up at this point?
Oh, yeah.
You keep the sails up?
Oh, yeah, we're sailing.
I would just think you'd be hunkering down during the storm.
Oh, hell no. You got places to be. You get paid by the mile.
That's how the East Coaster got in trouble. Wait, you get paid by the mile?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But you're not on a time. So why not just wait out the storm?
Well, because if you do it fast, you get paid twice as much per day.
Okay, tell us about the economics of this. I didn't know this whole thing.
So yeah, I mean, you get paid by the mile, and then the faster you go, the more money you make per day, essentially.
Does the boat owner pay for your food and everything to stock the boat?
Yeah. So they cover all that, and they'll cover flights to and fro depending what you're doing. Hotel stays when you're there, like whatever. It's kind of like an all-inclusive.
Oh, all-inclusive.
Yeah, it's very, very fancy.
Yeah, and you get your own personal tether. It's great.
Yeah. Please wear it.
Are you guys drinking on this trip?
I'm never much of a drinker. Depending who you go with, some people are ballistic. Some people have a sundowner.
Yeah, sundowner sounds nice.
Yeah, sundowner, nothing wrong with that. Greg is notoriously a teetotaler, especially like on voyages and crossings and stuff, which I fully support, being, alert and aware when people's lives are at stake.
Totally. I mean, have you ever known anyone in the community who got in like serious trouble on one of these trips?
Yeah, I've known people who bashed boats on reefs and got stuck in foreign places, and yeah, things can go wrong.
What could go wrong in the middle of the ocean? I get like sailing close, you could hit a reef. That's been, we hear all the histories about those things. But in the middle of the ocean, what's like most likely to go wrong? A storm?
Getting dismasted.
Dismasted?
Yeah.
So you lose your main sail?
You lose both sails.
So the mast like uproots from the...
Yeah, or snaps. I've seen it happen. It almost happened to us one time, just coming down the west coast of Oahu. And
what causes that?
Well, we broke a chain plate, and the chain plate holds like the shrouds that hold the mast up. And as soon as it snapped, I watched the mast just start bending to the left, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna lose it." And so I steered into the wind, and it saved it, and we ran our extra halyard, anchored it, tightened it, and like we limped home. But yeah, not ideal.
So what do you do if you're 1,500 miles into the sail and that happens?
Well, I mean, you keep bolt cutters on the boats for this, because if you get dismasted with the sails up, it can really do a whole lot of damage. It can like pull the stainless steel cables through the deck of the boat and stuff because it's so much surface area under the water. And so that's what you've got the bolt cutters for, is to cut the cables so it doesn't destroy the boat. And so essentially what you'd have to do is just like rig a makeshift mast and fly as much fabric as you can to limp wherever you need to go.
You don't have a motor.
There's a motor.
Okay.
But you don't have enough fuel to get anywhere.
So after you leave Hawaii, did you use the motor at all?
Yeah, we would use it to charge batteries and stuff.
How far can you go on the...
Not far enough.
Obviously not the whole way, but... So that's wild. All right, so you... It was 4 weeks without seeing land, and then you got to Guam. What's Guam like?
It's like a ghetto Hawaii.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's still a little bit more developing country, less westernized.
I mean, isn't it like a big military base there?
That's about all there is. And then there's like, a little shopping area that's pretty popular with tourists and stuff, but it's there's not a whole lot out there.
How did you feel when you saw land for the first time?
Oh, it was fantastic. I was definitely stoked. And so we did have some friends who were military, and so we got to stay at the marina on base, which was nice because there's restaurants and stuff for the boat, and, we could essentially take care of everything we needed to take care of. The social dynamics had also come to a head by the time we got to Guam. And so everybody was real ready to get off the boat because people had been drama queens and been butting heads. And
well, there were only 3 of you, so we know who they were.
Yeah, and so we get there, and Greg turns to the other guy and he says, "Well, thanks for your help. Here's your ticket home."
He wasn't going to continue the trip.
Kicked him off.
He kicked him off.
Kicked him off.
How did he react?
He was hurt.
Really?
Oh, he was hurt.
Tears?
No tears. He handled it well, but you could tell he was pretty disappointed. But honestly, like, that was the only call that could have been made.
How did you handle it? What did you say to him?
Oh, I was pumped. He was a lot.
Okay, but did you?
I hope he's not listening.
He might be.
He might be.
What did you Did you give him any parting wisdom?
Yeah. We were cool. We got along, but he had definitely started coming unglued halfway through the trip. He was okay for about 2 weeks. And then by the second week, he started like running a strange duct tape webbing all over his bed. He said it was to prevent drips, but really I think he was just kind of losing it. And he'd be like fixing his hair like he was going out to the club and putting on cologne, and like he was like grasping for the reality of land, it seemed like. And it progressively got worse week 3 and 4.
Okay, wait. What do you mean a duct tape web?
Yeah, he'd strung like duct tape all over, and it looked like there was a duct tape spider had gotten over his bed, and there was like this weird web strung over his like sleeping area. So strange.
Did you guys trust him to sail the boat when it was his turn?
Yeah, he was a pretty good sailor.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a pretty good sailor.
He was fine with that. Just, had he been on a trip that long before?
No.
Yeah. Dude, I honestly, it doesn't surprise me. I feel like a lot of people would go out of their mind.
Yeah, no, it's reasonable. Yeah, that's a reasonable reaction to what you're doing.
Like, if I traveled with someone for a month on land and we were just together all the time, you might want a break.
Yeah.
And on the boat, there's just no break.
There's no break. There's no escape.
What did you like better, being on shift or being off shift?
Well, I mean, I've always liked a good nap. I'm a simple man. And reading books, but like on shift, I have audiobooks and stuff. So like I'm still like, deep in like fascination with whatever I'm listening to.
Were you usually doing adventure type books?
I'm a mostly nonfiction type of guy, and yeah, lots of adventure and sailing and true histories of badass mamma jammas.
I feel like book curation before the trip would be fun.
It is.
Just picking out what you're going to read. And
yeah.
How many books did you bring?
I mean, it depends on how long my trip is, but I definitely like like some listening while I'm out. So
Oh, you listen. You don't read.
I do both. So like when I'm on shift, I'll listen, and then like I'll read a book. Sometimes reading a book in your berth, like down below, can make you seasick.
I would get violently
So
ill.
yeah, sometimes audio is easier. But yeah, I like the tactility. I like a real book too.
Were you cold? Were you hot? Were you wet? Were you...
So it depends where you're going. Typically when you cross the equator, it's hot, and it's where the doldrums are. So like there's no wind and you're floating at the equator and just getting roasted. If it's stormy and rainy and blasting wind and waves, yeah, it gets cold.
What do you pack clothes-wise? What are you wearing every day?
Foul weather gear and or board shorts. So like board shorts when it's nice, and like a sun shirt, and like if it's nasty, you wear your foulies.
So you kick the guy off the boat, but now doesn't that severely impact the trip because
And so yeah,
it's
we
just two of you now?
Greg and I had talked about it, and we're like, well, we either do more work and get less sleep and kick homeboy off, or we let him stay. And we're like, yeah, kick him off. We both essentially agreed that was the right call. And so we tried to find some help once we made it to Guam, and we found a friend from Okinawa who was able to come down and hop on. Canadian guy, filthy Canadian guy. He was fantastic.
Filthy?
Yeah, filthy.
What does that mean?
I mean, he's got some great stories.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine when it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
When all three of you are on the same page.
Yeah, definitely.
All having fun.
But yeah, even when there's one turd in your ice cream, it's no longer good. You know.
Did you feel rested? Like the sleeping, you never got 8 hours, I'm guessing, at once.
Not at once, but over the course of the day, you get plenty of sleep.
Because you can nap whenever you want.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to sleep below, is there another option? Because that's where I feel like I would just not be able to sleep below.
Yeah, if it's calm, you can sleep up on the deck. You will get woken up by waves. Like, you will get doused.
Yeah, like, is it ever calm?
Yeah. It's
like, not like a lake.
Yeah, it's calm. Sometimes it's like a lake. And
Oh.
and you can set up your hammock from the forestay to the mast, and you can, like, sleep in your hammock up above the deck.
It's that calm in the middle of the ocean?
Can be, yeah.
I just assumed it was always just pumping.
No, that's why they call it the Pacific. It's very flat and calm.
Actually, that's not why they call it the Pacific. It was actually, I actually read this the other day. I'm going to mess up the details. We could look it up, but do you know who named it that?
It was one of the Spanish explorers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think at the tip of South America when he saw it, and he was like, oh, this is so nice. It's so calm. I'm going to call it the Pacific. But he didn't realize.
It's a misnomer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, when the wind drops and everything's cool, yeah, it can be beautiful and glassy and calm and quiet.
Is that called being marooned? No, not marooned. When the wind stops.
Becalmed.
Becalmed. So what do? Do you run the motor then?
Yeah, you can.
Did you?
Yeah, from time to time. It depends how long it lasted and how morale was. If you just feel like you need to move, you run the engine, depending on your gas situation.
I've read a lot of explorer books, and I feel like when people get becalmed, it can happen. Sometimes it was like for weeks.
Yeah, especially around like the equator and stuff, and the doldrums. Like, yeah, we've sat getting roasted for days, and just.
And is that when you do most of your swimming and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and you fish, and you hang out and chill.
That's about it.
Yeah, and sweat.
Did you ever have like sharks coming up to the boat?
Yeah, we had sharks. In fact, on this Guam trip, there was 2. You can see the fish swimming alongside the boat because of the glowing algae. So they're swimming alongside the boat, and you can see that there's 2 fish off the side of the boat because they leave a glowing trail. And one night I was on watch, and we had 2 fish, and I was just cruising, and then a big bright flash comes up out of nowhere, and then there's only one more like glowing trail beside the boat, and some big shark had come and whacked whatever fish was swimming alongside us. Ooh. But yeah, you could see like the way the shark hit it and turned and cut away with its tail
from the bioluminescence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long was it from Guam to
We went
Where
from Guam to Okinawa after that because the boat needed some work and we wanted to fix the through holes before we delivered the boat. And so that was another 1,400 miles.
What worried you the most? Was there any? You mean we're talking here? You seem like so relaxed about it. I get it. Like you've done many adventures since then, but even then, it seems like your mindset then was very relaxed. Was there anything that concerned you or really worried you?
I've been told that I'm too cavalier. My brother has told me this, and I'm a firm believer in nothing ventured, nothing gained. And like people are like, oh, danger. And I'm like, bitch, I've lived this long without you. I'm fine. That being said, I have put myself in hairy situations and, you live, you learn. I'm a little less cavalier than I used to be, but I still insist on living a full life at the end of the day is what it comes down to. I don't want to live to be 120 if I never do anything fun.
Fair enough. That's awesome, man. I love that for you.
Well, I mean, it's not for everybody. And so going back a little bit, before we get to Guam, I'd mentioned like surfing the waves and stuff and spinning boats. Did that. And at some point we had caused one of the stanchions on the boat, like the poles that hold the wires around the boat to keep you on the deck, essentially, the lifelines. One of the stanchions got punched through the deck over my berth where I was sleeping. And so there was like this gaping 6-inch round hole over my berth, and we tried to seal it up the best we could while at sea. And so we're still like a week out from Guam. And so the last week of the sail, I was just soaked. My whole berth was soaked. And like every time we would take a wave on the deck, it would just like pour down into my bunk. And that really affects your dreams too. Like when you're like deep in sleep because you're exhausted, but you're still getting soaked and sleeping in a wet place.
Oh my God, dude.
And it was that like transition from week 3 to week 4 when that happened that was the closest to breaking my spirits.
Why didn't you just sleep in one of the other guys' berth?
Because I didn't want to sleep under the spider web. And I also didn't want to sleep in the hair pile that Greg leaves behind. He is the hairiest man. And in fact, when we got to Guam, we pull up to the marina, and the daylight comes up the next day, and we're looking at the boat, and it is a mess. And all of the floorboards inside the boat are just covered in the thickest Sicilian curly black hair that you've ever seen. And it's all Greg's chest and back hair. Jeez. Just like completely covering the floorboards. And Greg's like, we got to clean this. And the guy, and like the East Coaster and I were like, Greg, that's obviously all your hair.
You gotta clean this. Yeah. That sounds like a major, like when that happened, weren't you terrified to see something like a hole punch through the boat? That's your
I mean, it was the top of the boat. It's fine.
Okay.
Small hole on the top of the boat.
Oh my God.
But yeah, we tried to fix it the best we could, we like wedged it back into location and tried to seal it up.
Carry like fiberglass with you and stuff too?
Yeah, there's all that, but it's real hard to fix stuff at sea in stormy weather because everything's wet and moving.
Yeah. Seems impossible.
And salty. You can't get good adhesion with salt on everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, we tried like a 5200 sealant. It's like a marine sealant, and like it worked some. Not great.
When you felt down, was there anything on the boat in particular you did to lift your spirits?
No. I mean, I was kind of in the position where I had to be the mediator too, and so like melting down. If I melted down, everybody was melting down.
Yeah, you were the key.
And so like I had to be the glue even if the glue was feeling a little weak. I've had to do that on multiple sails. It's hard out there on people.
When you got to Taiwan, were you sad that it was over or happy?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was so cool. So when we when we got to Guam, it's a like relatively like quiet, non-industrious island, and so I didn't really pick up on all like the sensory stuff. As you approach the island, you can see the island, you can't really smell the island. When we got
smell it?
Yeah, because your senses are somewhat heightened out there because you don't have all like the typical distractions of scent that you have on land. But when we got towards Okinawa, I could smell the island from like 10, 15 miles. And I could smell the industrial area of Okinawa, and I could smell women's perfume.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
What?
Yeah, and so
Were you just dreaming, bro?
no, and like the closer you get, the more scents you could like identify among this breeze blowing your direction.
Really?
Yeah, that was Okinawa, and then once we got to Taiwan, yeah, we were stoked to be there. I don't recall any like specific scents. As we approached Taiwan, the amount of trash floating in the sea was just like amazing. So much trash floating around Asia in general. Everything goes out to sea. Like I know we've got a garbage patch and stuff like that, but Asia is a whole nother animal. We were a day or two out, and there was this gigantic, like 7-foot SpongeBob. Like it must have come from like a SpongeBob convention or something, but it was enormous. It was way bigger than a man. And it was holding one arm up with the waving SpongeBob like face, you know? And it was just floating out there miles and miles from anything. And yeah, tons and tons of trash and
It's really sad.
all sorts of floating debris, interesting stuff. There were some like floating pallets that fish had jumped on top of and gotten stranded and died on top of the floating pallets. Yeah, it was real interesting.
So you come from this, I assume the water in the middle of the ocean is deep blue perfection, right?
Perfection.
And then that's like what a tale of humanity as you get closer to land. It changes to trash and dead, dying beings.
Yeah.
It's really, did that make you feel sad?
Yeah, it was pretty filthy.
Like I would imagine coming out of a retreat or coming out of a backpack where you have that initial shock of coming back to society, like that was your moment.
That was the moment. Outside Okinawa, it was still like grandeur and new scents, and then we got to Taiwan, and I'm like, oh, trash.
Great.
Yeah.
What is it like when you arrive in a place? How do you do customs or immigration? How do they know that you're a foreign ship?
I mean, you're flagged, and they inspect your papers, and they've seen you coming in. And so when we initially got there, we came at a time when the harbor we were supposed to go to wasn't open. It was the weekend. And so we stopped in Keelung, which is like on the northeast side, and it's more of an industrial port, like giant container ships and stuff like that. And so we decided that we were going to stop in Keelung instead because the other place we wanted to go wasn't open until Monday. And so we stop in Keelung, and we're going in this like industrial harbor. And we're trying to maintain a low profile because we're not really supposed to be there. It's not where we're supposed to be. And we're like sneaking along the side by all these giant container ships and industrial things. And then before you know it, like we get lit up by a Taiwanese police boat. Lights flashing, they're yelling at us on the bullhorn. They're like, what the hell are you doing? And we're like, we can't go down here because it's closed. And they're like, okay, follow us. And they have us follow them into like the heart of Keelung. Like the harbor goes like straight into the city center. And so there's like Starbucks and bars and like all these like skyscrapers and stuff. Like it's not a major city, but it's enough to like be a spectacle when you arrive on a sailboat flying an American flag.
Oh, you're literally flying a flag.
Yeah.
Oh. Is that you have to?
No, but as we approached, we're like, we should let them know. We're here.
I was going to say, because how do they know you're not just some local fishing boat coming back or a local boat?
Local fishing boats and boats don't look like the one we were on.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah. And yeah, they let us tie up like right in the heart of Key Long, and we immediately draw this huge crowd of onlookers, like all gathered around the railing, all like carrying random groceries, and one guy had a flying squirrel on his hand. And they all wanted to know what we were up to. Lots of them gave us gifts and like
A flying squirrel?
yeah. What are they? Sugar babies? What are they called? Bush babies? I don't. It was like some sort of like small marsupial or like flying squirrel.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, you can have those as pets here. Interesting.
So I guess maybe I was picturing your boat a little differently this whole time. So it was nice enough to draw a crowd, like people.
Oh yeah, we were a spectacle.
Wow.
Yeah, we were definitely a spectacle, especially in an industrial area. Everything else is square and carrying containers and stuff, and we were like a pretty sleek race boat.
How much did this boat cost?
I don't know what they paid for it. It wasn't that expensive. In fact, it was pretty expensive in comparison to have us deliver it, but they couldn't get it anywhere closer in the world. And they had like a really nice, comfortable cruising boat, but they thought they were going to learn to race. These three guys went partners on it. They thought they were going to learn to race, and it was way more boat than any of them could learn to race. It had running back stays is one of like the funny things on the boat, and we tried to teach them to sail the boat, and they kept messing up the running back stays, and we'd watch the mast bend forward every time they'd forget to fix the running back stays.
Oh, so you met them there when you delivered it?
Oh yeah, we took them and their families out on it, and they took us. One guy had like a carbon fiber manufacturing business. One guy was a restaurateur. One guy did like digital signs, like if you ever see the digital signs in Safeway, or like on the shelves for the cereal, and they can like remotely change the price or show sale. Like that was his patent that he took public and made a killing on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and they didn't know how to sail, so you were.
Well, they knew how to cruise.
Cruise, yeah.
They didn't know how to race, and they didn't know how to like run this particular boat either.
That's interesting.
I think they ended up selling it like shortly after because they're like, no.
I was going to ask, do you keep in touch with the boats that you deliver?
Yeah, depending on the owner. Some of them are super cool. Some of them aren't. It's a big wide world with lots of different people.
How long did you stay there before you flew back to Hawaii?
That's a whole nother podcast. Yeah, I ended up staying in Taiwan for 4 or 6 weeks, and then I went to China for a while, and then I hopped around Asia in general and Borneo for 6 months or something.
Oh, so you were gone you were gone, man.
Oh yeah. Once I started, I couldn't stop.
How long were you gone for in total?
6 or 8 months, something like that. That was fantastic.
Borneo's amazing.
I went to highly recommend it.
Malaysian Borneo.
Yeah, same.
And loved it. Went to Kuching.
Yeah. It's still one of my favorite places. It's still wild, and like it's been impacted by colonialism like everywhere else, but it still feels pretty wild in a lot of places.
Well, and just cutting down the trees, I think. Just industry like everywhere else. All right, so you did all that. You continued on this trip, and then now, since how many trips like that have you done?
I've done maybe 4 that long.
Has anything in your perspective changed? Like we were talking to bring it all together, like in the beginning about how vast the Pacific is. Like, do you feel like you've learned something about your existence or about the planet or anything?
Yeah, there's definitely key takeaways and lots to be learned out there. Like any time you have extended periods of introspection, you're forced to look at what you are. You either love it or hate it, I love it. I think I'm pretty rad.
I'm glad you do, buddy. Yeah.
But one of the key takeaways is that taking all that time to deliver somebody else's boat on their schedule is less than ideal. The best way to do it is to go on the joyride. where you don't have deadlines and things to deliver. You hop on and you hit every island along the way that interests you, whether it's your boat or somebody else's. If there's good waves, you stop at that island. If there's good spearfishing, you stop at that island and you eat snacks. You stop and meet nice people along the way, don't rush it. Enjoy the ride.
Is that something you plan to do?
Yeah, coming up. We're going to do a start in Mexico, on the west coast of Mexico. And then we're going to head down by Panama, down to Ecuador, do a little provisioning, then off to the Galapagos and Rapa Nui, and then over to...
Easter Island.
Yeah.
Have you been there before?
No, I haven't. It's way out there. It's super far out there. That's the thing. You can cross the Pacific in 12 hours by plane, or you can take 2 months doing it on a boat.
Anything from your adventures after the first one that come to mind that you'd like to share?
Yeah, there's so many. we could do these.
We could go.
Yeah, we can do these. We brought a 46-foot catamaran from Tahiti back to Honolulu.
And this is you and Greg every time when you say we. Okay.
Yeah.
With different crew. Tahiti. What's Tahiti like?
Tahiti's great. It's like Hawaii with delicious French food.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of delicious bakeries and boulangeries.
Not a lot of French influence in Hawaii.
No, there's not.
I know actually last time I was here, we went to that French bakery, which is ironic now that I'm thinking about it. But generally speaking, there's way more influential cultures here.
Yeah.
So that is a big change to go same scenery, but the French influence.
Yeah, great surf, great diving, delicious food. It's got grit. Hawaii doesn't have much grit anymore. It's very much first world these days. Guam still has grit. Tahiti still has grit. It's still developing country in a lot of ways. Like you can tell when you get to a developing country because it still smells of like diesel exhaust and industrial stuff. It's got that working class flavor.
Yeah, and everything's not perfect.
Right. Yeah, not manicured and perfectly groomed. It's still got some rough around the edges stuff. And so the Tahiti delivery was the one where I got seasick for the first time. And that was rough. I never knew what people were talking about. They're like, "Oh, I'm seasick." And I was like, "Oh, no." And then I felt it, and I'm like, "Oh no, this is real. This is what people experience, and this is bad."
It took you 2 trips.
Yeah, well,
to finally feel it.
Well, I mean,
what was it that did it?
I'd been out lots of times for multi-day and multi-week trips, and something about the way the catamaran moves. Waves would hit like one hull and then bounce and hit the other hull, and then it would like ricochet off that. It's more jarring somehow than the displacement monohulls because they're like sunk in. Everything's a little more sloshy and smooth. There's more like sharp movements the way that the catamaran sails. It's more abrupt in its direction changes and
it got you.
Yeah. It got me. It got me good. I was humbled.
How long did it last?
The better part of a day.
Oh, that's okay.
And it was a night shift, and I was so sick, puking in my beard and and full of shame. But yeah, by the next, I think that was day 3, like leaving Tahiti. And then, by beginning of day 4, I was fine.
So what was that trip like generally? What was the vibe?
So comfortable. Not necessarily the way catamaran sails. They're fast, and fast is great. But they don't point upwind nearly as well as a monohull. A lot of people who sail catamarans say, well, a gentleman doesn't sail against the wind. And I like that. But yeah, they cover great distance. And, in a mid 40-foot catamaran, you have 4 private bedrooms, and a lot of times you have a private bath and like a great living area but between the holes with lots of sunlight and a legit kitchen and seating, and very comfortable in comparison to smaller mono hulls, and especially race boats and stuff like that. It's a whole nother animal. And so yeah, I mean it's not all better than a mono hull, but a lot of aspects are, especially like livability. Even just like having the trampolines up front that you can hang out on and eat snacks and enjoy a sundowner and stuff like that. It's hugely more comfortable just for like long haul cruising.
Did you guys have any eventful moments on that trip?
Oh yeah, there was definitely eventful moments. Well, we stopped at some cool places along the way. We stopped Christmas Island and some other atolls.
Is that the place with all the crabs? Christmas Island?
Yeah, I don't know. There are definitely coconut crabs in that area.
I think there's some kind of crazy, let me look, Christmas crab, crazy migration, yeah. The Christmas Island red crab migration is an annual natural spectacle where millions of crabs travel from the forest to the ocean to breed, typically triggered by the first rainfall of the wet season. Dude, look at that.
Yeah, so we didn't get to see
It's
that.
like a traffic jam of crabs. This is like someone's worst nightmare.
Yeah, if you don't like shellfish.
If you don't like alien-looking crabs and the billions running at you. That's so wild.
So yeah, we stopped at some cool places. We got to cross the equator at the date line, at the international date line. So that's kind of a unique spot to cross the Pacific. I don't think many people do that. And so you do get, there's like all these titles from the Navy and stuff. If you cross the equator, then you're officially a shellback, and there's like a little ceremony, offerings to Neptune and stuff, and you get like an official title of shellback if you cross the equator.
Shellback?
Yeah, shellback.
Where does that come from?
Like a turtle, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, there's all sorts of like these Navy titles that they delegate for certain accomplishments at sea. And so yeah, we crossed at the international date line at the equator, and so we were making up all sorts of our own fancy titles of what kind of sailors we now were.
What'd you come up with?
Like golden shellbacks and all sorts of other stupid stuff. We were so happy to be crossing at this unique location in the Pacific, but we'd also gotten becalmed days before, and the equator is hot, and we were just so wet, and we didn't want to run. Of course, the catamaran had air conditioning and all this stuff, but we had limited fuel, and thousands of miles to go. And so we were somewhat conservative with that. And so, we would swim and take saltwater showers and all that stuff. But and then it's somewhere around the equator, we stopped at Caroline Island, and we were looking for an anchorage because we wanted to catch some lobsters. But a lot of these atolls just drop off into the deep abyss. And so it's not like there's shallow sandy spots or like rocky shallow spots where you can like really place an anchor and have it like bite and hold the boat. And so I jump off the boat, and beforehand I tell Greg, I'm like, all right, Greg, here's what we're doing. We're looking for an anchorage. If I find a good anchorage, I'm going to do the touchdown hands. Both arms up over my head. If I need help, I'm going to wave both arms over my head like I need help. Seemed easy enough. What we didn't account for is that I have a spear gun in one hand. And so essentially a good anchorage is going to be one hand straight up over my head, and I need help is one hand waving frantically over my head. That wasn't clear apparently. And so we're going to look for an anchorage, and I hop in. And there's all sorts of like shark science that people don't know. Apparently, the hierarchy goes like this. The bad motherfuckers have the top all the way down. And the smaller the sharks are, they have to sit lower and lower in the ocean, and the little bitches sit towards the bottom. The pecking order. The alphas get the top and everything, and then the little guys have to sit below. And so if you jump in the middle of nowhere where these sharks don't know humans, the alphas think you are challenging them. And so I jump in, full spearfishing attire, and I clear my mask. And now that I can see, I see that like the edges of the atoll just drop off at like 60 degrees straight down into the black abyss. There's like no good anchorage. There's nothing but black water and super steep walls of this atoll. And so as soon as I clear my mask, I see like it drop off, no good anchorage. And I also see this monster silver-tip Tahitian shark charging straight at me out of the black water. And I've got a spear gun, and that helps. But this guy had it out for me.
And that helps. Did you fire it at him?
No. No, I was too busy stabbing him.
What?
Well, he came at me and immediately tried to bite me. And so I stuck him with the spear. And their skin is so incredibly hard. It doesn't even like ding them. Like you give a full stab, you don't get a millimeter of penetration. And he's circling me, and I'm spinning, trying to keep my front towards him. And he circles me once and tries to like swoop in towards my belly and bite me, and I jab the shit out of him. And he keeps circling, and I keep spinning, and I'm waving one arm for help. And he keeps circling and trying to bite my tenderloins. And I just keep jabbing the shit out of him in the gills and in the side. And I mean, he's close enough to like look dead in the eye. And he circles me for a while trying to bite me. And I just keep stabbing the shit out of him. And finally he gives up and retreats. And I'm waving my arms for help. And Greg's like, he's good. I'm going to go down the coast looking for an anchorage. I still am pissed about this. Because how frantically can you wave? You know.
Didn't he see such the commotion that was going on?
I don't know how he didn't. I'm still pissed about it. And we'd picked up this girl in Tahiti, and we were going to bring her back with us. She was going to be like a deckhand, and she's like, I think Zach needs help. And Greg's like, nah, he's good. And so I frantically back up to the atoll to have the reef on my back so I'm not vulnerable 360 degrees.
Very smart.
Just 180. And so I back up to the reef, and I look up, and the boat is just coasting down the coastline. And I just couldn't believe that they would leave me. I was so hurt. And like I don't understand like how there's any miscommunication there.
Well, first off, congratulations for becoming the alpha.
Yeah.
Sounds like you won the fight. You won the showdown.
That bitch tried to punk me out so hard.
He didn't get you at all?
No, it was so scary. Any bite that far from civilization, oh, you're fucked.
How big was the shark?
Pretty big. 14, 16 feet.
16 feet?
It was pretty big.
What kind?
Tahitian silvertip, like the oceanic ones.
Oh my God. And how far were you from major land?
I don't know. We were at Caroline Island. We were at least like a week from anything.
Dude, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
That's a near-death experience.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
I don't think you've ever told me that before. That's so wild.
And so, yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere. So it's like north of French Polynesia. Where is this? It's from like Bora Bora. There's Vostok, and it's over here somewhere. So it's like 500 miles from anything.
God, dude.
And so that's, a couple days on a sailboat.
So wait, did you survive this fight and they sailed away, so you just started spearfishing?
No.
I mean, I guess you tried to get out of the water at this point.
And so what you don't think about is that the further you are from anything, the the healthier the ecosystems are. The less people that have been out there, the more natural, like the more National Geographic status it is. And so I did meet the alpha in the area, but in addition to said alpha, there was hundreds of other sharks, like all sizes, tons of different varieties, and they were all around, from little guys to big guys. No one nearly as big as mean Mamma Jamma, though. But I essentially just tried to keep like my back to the reef because I knew nothing was coming from the reef. I had my spear gun, and it was way too sketchy to shoot anything with that many sharks around in my panicked state. I was not in a spearfishing mood after that. And so I essentially swam down the coast until like I got close enough to the boat to be like, hey, you're an asshole. We tried to set an anchor at like the lowest slope area that we could find, which was like 40 degrees, like from land into the deep. And we ended up dragging the anchor, which turned into a whole nother endeavor because we put out hundreds of feet of 3/8 inch steel chain, and the windlass, the thing that like winds up the anchor, can only pull so much weight before the electric motor fries. And so I throw up a touchdown hand. I claim the best anchorage that we've seen. The boat motor's in. We try to drop the anchor. I dive down, try to set the anchor in something that'll hold. And with the current and wind and stuff, it just pulled the anchor. But I was back on the boat by this time and voicing my opinions. And so we dragged the anchor with hundreds of feet of chain out. We smoked the windlass trying to get it up. And so what do you do when you're dragging an anchor like 500 feet down and you can't use the windlass to retrieve it?
You gotta haul it up by hand.
It's too heavy.
Oh, it's too heavy. You can't do it.
Yeah, way too heavy. And so
you're just sailing around dragging the anchor?
Not an option. You're gonna yeah. So we had to retrieve it, and so I rigged up some like 4-to-1 pulley system, and I would dive down 60 or 80 feet, and I would put a shackle on the chain, and we would use the 4-to-1 to pull it up, you know,
part of the way,
length by length by length. But by this time, we had like gotten into this huge bloom of man of war, and so I'm fully covered for the most part in my full like skin dive wetsuit, except for like the holes in the knees from where I've like sat on reef spearfishing and stuff, and my face, because I've got gloves, I've got booties, I've got fins, but like any holes in my wetsuit, my face was vulnerable, like the gap between the arms of my wetsuit and my gloves, and there was just thousands and thousands of bright blue man of war everywhere. We have to retrieve the anchor, and so I'm like, I'll do it, because nobody else is able, essentially. Nobody else is really a diver or anything. And so I dive in, and like the first dive in, I look down at the chain, and it is completely covered with like the long stinging strings of the man of war. There's like a wall floating off one side of the chain where the chain is cut like the stinging strings of the man of wars, and it's just like this, like the sailfish. You know how the sailfish has the sail on its back that'll move in the water and stuff, and it was just like this rippling wall of stinging strings all down the chain into black water, and I was like, oh no.
All this so far, man. Like the stakes must have been so high. What was your state of mind?
Well, I was still mad from the first endeavor, but I knew something had to be done too.
But the fact that you were in the water again, you know, is kind of a testament to your
stupidity.
Well, okay, you can fill in the blank.
But I mean, you know, something had to get done is what it came down to, and I was the one that could do it. Is why I get invited.
That's why I'm asked to go.
Yeah, and so, you know, first dive, you get lots of stings on the face, and that's fine. I like pain.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Dude, I've gotten stung by a man-of-war surfing here in Hawaii. It hurt. It's like
hurts.
getting stung by a swarm of bees.
Yeah, it's like bees.
Yeah.
So, you know,
you're just taking it to the face.
Yeah, just take it to the face, and that's fine.
Okay.
And so we've done like 3 or 4 me dive down. I don't know. It was probably like 60 feet. I hook a shackle on and we pull it up. And they're pulling it up from the boat and I'm doing the diving. And on the 3rd or 4th, like dive down and retrieval, like I've gotten stung pretty good on my face and my knees and stuff where the holes are. And I come up on after like hooking on maybe the 4th attachment, and I pop my snorkel out and go to take a breath, and like the water moves funny between the holes of the catamaran, and I got a splash right in the mouth with a man-of-war in the mouth.
No.
And I lost my mind. I completely came unglued. And I was screaming. It went in my mouth. And they all just had like this look of concern because I had obviously lost it. And I just couldn't get it together. And I swam to the back of the boat because I felt like it had wronged me, like violated me. It went in my mouth. And I just give up. And I'm just laying on the back of the boat and just stung and tired and defeated. And they're all just like looking at me, pretty patient. You know?
What else are they going to do?
Because there was not much to be done other than just let me like get it out of my system. But I knew like their patient look was saying, we still have work to do.
You're not done yet.
And so, yeah, eventually I get back in and continue diving to retrieve the anchor, and we finally get it. But yeah, it was a ton of work and, you know, a ton of stingy.
That was the same day as the shark attack?
Same day, like within hours.
Was that the toughest day of your life?
No, not even close.
Okay. What, or were they at sea the worst days of your life?
It was pretty challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah,
but,
it was pretty challenging.
You rocked it, man.
Yeah. Can't stop, won't stop.
Did you guys celebrate that night?
I think we had a sundowner after that.
I say so.
Yeah.
Must have been beautiful.
Honestly, dragging the anchor may have been our saving grace because we were going to take the Zodiac in past like the barrier reef and like go explore the island and catch some lobsters and stuff. But if we had drug reef while we were like out Zodiacing, it would have been a really bad day.
So you didn't get your lobster?
No, we didn't. We didn't get. Yeah, I'm pretty good at lobstering. I love it. I go lobster crazy.
You just dive down and grab it?
Yeah, they're often in like caves and recesses and stuff. But yeah, I get in lobster mode. It makes Megan real nervous.
Why?
Because she'll just see my legs like kicking from like a hole like 60 feet down. And I'll be down there a couple minutes and she doesn't know if I'm stuck or if I'm just still trying to catch lobsters.
How long can you hold your breath?
Quite a while. Depends how hard I'm working.
Like, what's the range?
I don't know, 2 to 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Yeah, if I'm chilling. Like, I can hang out on the bottom quite a while.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Everyone always says it's more mental.
Yeah. If you can learn to relax and you know what your body's capable of, you can really... Anybody can learn to hold their breath for 3 minutes.
That seems like a long time.
I mean, I would say anybody can learn to hold their breath for 3 minutes over the course of 2 days.
2 days, that's it.
Yeah, you just got to sit down and be like, hey, I want to do this.
Is that apnea training they call it? something.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it on the couch. You can do it while listening to a podcast. Just hold your breath.
Just start with 30, like lifting weights. Start with 30 seconds. Do 45 seconds next time. Just build up.
Yeah, but there's really good science behind it. Like, there's a ton of research that's gone into it. And essentially, we evolved from aquatic mammalia. And so we have mammalian dive reflex. We have a pancreas that releases a whole fresh batch of red blood cells when we hit a certain threshold. And we have biological reactions that will cause your stomach to get like a muscle contraction when you're running out of air. And so essentially, when you get the first muscle contraction in your stomach, that's your halfway point. And so that's when you're halfway out of air. Most people never even get to one muscle contraction. They're like, I'm out of air, gotta breathe. You don't. You're fine. You just have to know that, like, your body will tell you when you're halfway out.
Okay. I feel like my body tells me, like, I need to breathe.
It does. It's not something that the body is used to. And so it does take practice to learn to relax with that. But you have a whole lot more oxygen in your system than you think. Even at 3 minutes, your blood oxygen is in the high 90s, like percent-wise. It's the CO2 buildup that's making your brain scream to breathe.
And you just ignore that.
Yeah, just shut up.
So what's the longest you've held your breath?
I don't know, 4 minutes and change.
That's crazy. That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was a filthy smoker, I had a really strong breath hold. Yeah, a lot of it's mental.
All right, well, I want to jump forward to something because we could go through an infinite amount of stories, but you mentioned something previously when I was talking to you on your latest trip, where was the last trip you did?
We went around Indonesia.
From Hawaii to Indonesia?
No, I hopped on in Singapore, and we went around Indonesia, and we were going up to Palau.
When I was asking you earlier about immigration and stuff, you had an immigration problem there.
In Sorong is what it's called. And we were supposed to be heading north to Palau, like the worst leg of the trip by far, because it's straight north, into the wind, beating waves. We were not looking forward to it. There were some disagreements between, like, us and the owner of the boat, because he was kind of a turd person. His wife essentially she was the breadwinner. She essentially bought him the boat to get him out of her hair. He was a good sailor, but just kind of a douche person. So we had some disagreements when we were in Sarong, and we're like, all right, well, you do you. We're going to go do some diving at this world-class place. Is kind of how it went.
And we're taking your boat.
No, we didn't take the boat. We took a ferry to Raja Ampat, which has some of the most world-class diving around. All sorts of stuff. If you've never seen a wabagong shark, look it up. They're cool.
How do you spell that?
Wabagong.
Okay. Wabagong?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Oh, WOBBEGON shark.
Pretty neat.
Whoa.
They've got crazy whiskers. They're kind of like,
oh wow, look at the camouflage on that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, they're super cool, and all sorts of like giant mantis shrimp and like all super vibrant, super world class diving.
So clearly, your shark attack didn't faze you.
These guys are reef sharks. They chill.
Okay, and where was this at?
This was Raja Ampat. It's one of like the most epic dive sites in the world. And so it's in the middle of nowhere. Pretty cool though. And so the owner of the boat was like, "You guys are dicks for going to Raja Ampat," and we were like, "Dude, you told us to go." And so we butted heads a little bit. Essentially, what had happened was like we had somebody who was going to facilitate us exiting Indonesia, and the facilitator's like, "You guys go do you. Immigration doesn't want you there. We just want the paperwork." And so we're like, "Okay, great. Here's all the paperwork. Here's boat docks. Here's passports. We're going diving." And then they call us when we're over in Rajan Pot, and they're like, you guys got to get back here. What are you doing? And we're like, you told us to go. And they're like, yeah, but now they need you here. And we're like, well, we'll be back tomorrow. And they're like unhappy about it. So we get back there, and people are all bent out of shape, and they end up stamping us out of the country because we're supposed to depart the next day. But the owner of the boat, who was on board with us, was so bent out of shape about the thing, he decides, you guys are not finishing the trip. You're in fact getting kicked off the boat. And so we're like, all right, fuck off, ski, whatever. But we had already been stamped out of the country. We go into immigration, and they're like, you guys aren't supposed to be here. And we're like, yeah, about that. We've had some issues. We need to get re-stamped into the country. And the guy's like, yeah, no problem. Give me your passports. So we gave him the passports, and he's like, I'm going to deal with this. You guys come back in a few days. And we're like, oh, shit, we're stuck in a country without our passports.
A few days.
Yeah, he wasn't happy. He was cool. He's like, give me your passports. And we're like, all right, cool, no problem. And then we gave him the passports, and he put his mad face on, and he's like, things aren't cool here.
Why was he mad at you?
I don't know. I think the captain had essentially soured the waters with everybody. The captain was a supreme drama queen. This stuff happens. We've had similar stuff in other places in the world. And as long as you're cool, everybody's cool. But if you blow it out of proportion and are a crybaby, then they're like salty. And so that's essentially what happened this time. And so finally they were like, all right, we'll give you your passports if you have a ticket leaving the country. And we're like, done, son. I'm out of here. And so, yeah, that was pretty fun. Flew to Jakarta, flew to Singapore.
I've never been to Singapore. What do you think of that?
That's good for 2 or 3 days. It's pretty small.
It's the most westernized part of Asia, right? Southeast Asia.
It's pretty incredible in a lot of ways. They have so much planning that's gone into it. They have designed their skyline to the year 2050. So they don't just build stuff willy-nilly. They're designing the skyline. So the amount of design that has gone into the city and prior thought and planning is pretty amazing. So for example, here you have the crosswalk, and there's no one allotment of time for the crosswalk. But what if it's an elderly person crossing the road who needs more time? So if the elderly person is halfway across the street when the light turns green, do they get a ticket? Do you smash them with your car? These are things that America has never cared to address. In Singapore, the elderly or infirm have a special card that they just scan at the crosswalk, and so the crosswalk gives them 2 minutes instead of 30 seconds.
Oh, wow, really?
So there's a whole lot of design and cleanliness stuff over there that's just kind of they've taken care of,
Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, it's pretty neat in that way. Most people over there speak 3 languages at a minimum, but they've also kind of designed the infrastructure to chase out the riffraff. So things have been priced accordingly to where if you're a bum, you're not going to last long. So yeah, it's interesting.
I hear the food's really good too.
Yeah, it's a pretty good mixing pot over there. There's all sorts of interesting people there. Changi was the number one airport in the world to see for a lot of years. It's got all sorts of it's got waterfalls and art sculptures and delicious foods, and it's a pretty fancy airport.
And red sky at night, sailor's delight.
Sailor's delight.
Red sky by morning, take warning.
Storms are coming.
Which makes you happy, I bet. A day of adventure.
Champagne sailing's a pretty sweet way to go.
Well, thanks, dude, for sharing the
yeah,
stories,
happy
man.
to.
I appreciate it. We'll have to have you back to hear about your adventure down to Galapagos and Easter Island. Easter Island's cool. You'll dig it. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Now I'm riding the terrain, flying high up once again. Got my crew sitting healthy and my boo living wealthy. Level 99, never settle in my mind. So I pedal and I climb up up the pedestal and find almighty weapon. So I calm, lightly step into the castle. Satchel, tackled, wrestled down the corridor where I'm grounded through the floor. Roundhouse into my core, down, out, and through the door. Sword down at my side, I gotta round up and ride. Face boss, break jaws till I take off. Face off, stop and swing my serious strike. This is it, take the title, disappear in the night. To the whole wide world. Got the keys to the kingdom overseas with the wisdom guarantee that my rhythm hit the whole wide world. Slay the boss in the castle when we cross final battle. Then I walk out and travel to the whole wide world. Got the keys to the kingdom overseas with the wisdom guarantee that my rhythm hit the whole wide world. Slay the boss in the castle when we cross final battle. Then I walk out and travel to the